Hey, welcome back into today's video. We're going to be talking about Dahvie Vanity. No, Dahvie Vanity is most likely one of the grossest human beings to have ever existed. This person, if you've never heard of him, don't worry, you're about to, and you're about to wish you never did hear of him, but mostly we're making this video to raise awareness. So, if you're unfamiliar, if you go to Google and you just start to go clicking his name in, literally in his little info card on the right, it tells you what this whole thing's about. Blood on the Dance Floors, Dahvie Vanity has been accused of sexual assault by 21 women. Exposed by Huffington Post has documented a long life of allegations against 34-year-old Vanity, real name Jesus David Torres, including alleged incidents of forced oral sex, molestation, and rape. He came out when all the MySpace bands were coming out. You know, there were some good bands that came out in that era. We've learned a lot. I learned a little bit about HTML coding. Whole nother story, another video. But the allegations go back to MySpace days where he was actually accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl. Not only was he accused, but he admitted to it. This is the Huffington Post article. I'm going to put it in the description so you guys can read this because I'm all about you guys forming your own opinions. The article starts off and says, one Sunday night in June 2007, 14-year-old Diana Farrell sat alone in her bedroom in the dark, listening to Christian radio show where teens discuss their troubles on air. The host, a man named Dawson McAllister, seemed kind. He spoke to callers empathetically and even gave them advice. Farrell picked up the phone and dialed in. When McAllister asked what was wrong, she took a deep breath and told him about the man who had sexually assaulted her at her home 8 days earlier. A show staffer called the police. Now, usually on these talk shows, when they come in contact with a story like this, they're legally obligated to have to report it, especially if it's child abuse. Farrell paced back and forth as a police officer asked questions about the man she described on the radio. She frantically explained that she didn't know his real name or how old he was. He just went by Dahvie. She'd met him a while ago on MySpace where he had a popular page as an Orlando-based hairstylist. Now that's the interesting thing about this, an Orlando-based hairstylist, and one thing that you're going to know is that Dahvie Vanity is literally a fake person. What do I mean by that? One thing that stands out about this guy is his hair, his hairstyle. Which is 100% fake, as exposed in a Twitter thread that will also be in the description below. These are all wigs. The guy that made them says, I cut and colored all of these, you're welcome. So it's literally 100% fake. So as you can see, this guy, as predators do, a lot of child predators, they'll go to places children are going to be, a place that children are attracted to. That's why you got to be careful when you're going to the Chuck E. Cheese's, playgrounds. So this man created this identity and went into a field, specifically a genre of music that he knew would attract young women. Teenagers, specifically around the ages 12 to 18. And it's incredibly disturbing. Fake hair. As the officer pressed for details about the encounter, Farrell's first sexual experience, and I hate to say this, but this is not the first time in this story that this has happened. He's been several first sexual experiences to many underage girls. The 14-year-old was confused about what had happened and afraid of getting Dahvie into trouble, which is a telltale sign of grooming, where he gets in here, he talks to these girls while they're too young to understand anything, develops a relationship over time, often doing traumatizing things like this, forcing himself on them, only to have a regular casual conversation afterwards as if nothing happened, which can confuse the young girls. They'd started chatting online in weeks leading up to her hair appointment. He would often sign off with messages declaring his love for her. They were friends, she reminded herself, and Dahvie cared about her. What would happen to him if she told the police that after finishing with her hair, he had forced himself into her mouth? This seems to be like this guy's MO. A lot of times you're going to hear these stories. He's forcing himself into the girl's mouth. which is disgusting. Here's a cutout from the police report. When it says blank, it's talking about Diana. When I asked blank for Jesus' personal information, she began pacing and became extremely reluctant to tell me. Diana asked, is he going to get in trouble? I explained to her I was not sure. Diana explained she only knew his first name, but went by Davi. Diana excitedly stated, please don't tell my mom. I replied by explaining to her if no crime occurred, I would not say anything, but if I determined a crime occurred, I would have to. Now, the big part about this is they did determine that a crime did occur, but what did they do? They dropped it. So after the cops talked to the young girl and the mother, they called 22-year-old Jesus David Torres, also known as Davi Vanity, the elite hair god. It's fake hair. Romanowski informed Torres that he was aware of the sexual contact with Pharrell and that her mother would not ask cops to arrest Torres if he would cut off contact with her daughter. Torres claimed he didn't know how young Pharrell was, said he was sorry, and promised not to talk to her again. So he was actually charged with lewd and oh my God, I'm gonna have to, let me look up and see what this is.
Lascivious.
So he was actually charged with lewd and lascivious battery, sexual penetration of a child between the ages of 12 and 15 by an adult, for which Torres was briefly investigated is a form of statutory rape and a felony punishable up to 15 years in prison. Ignorance of the victim's age is not admissible defense, so you just can't be like, I didn't know. Despite all of this, and this, you'd think this would be a cut and dry closed case, they just let him go. It even says that he committed, but they let him go. And because they let him go, he went on to develop the band Blood on the Dance Floor. And now we have over 20 allegations of sexual assault, which I think over 15 of these young women are underage children. So as he got older, he stayed targeting the same age of girls, and if you can't tell, it pisses me off. So Davi went on later that same year of getting off from this lewd and lascivious battery. He started Blood on the Dance Floor, an electro pop band that quickly took off among kids and teens. Under the stage name Davi Vanity, the singer went on to amass close to 2 million online followers while touring all over the country. And in the 12 years since police gave him a warning for assaulting Pharrell, Torres has allegedly sexually assaulted nearly 24 women and underage girls. So just so we're clear, this is not one of those videos where we're going to say allegedly. This is quite literally, he was convicted of these. He did these things, but they let him off for the first one, which resulted in 24 other women being hurt. And these are the women that have came forward. There is no telling how many other women have been hurt. So the first in-depth expose came from a publication called Metal Sucks. These were into the sexual allegations against Torres, Davi. And in this article, it featured 6 women identified by their first names and pseudonyms, who accused him of forced oral sex and groping. 3 said they were underage at the time. I told you his MO was a forced oral sex, which is just absolutely disgusting. And the severity and aggressiveness of these encounters, it isn't like he just went to do it. He actually got so aggressive with one girl that her mouth was bleeding and some of her hair was pulled out. HuffPost started investigating shortly thereafter, reaching out to members of a large online support group of survivors of Torres' alleged abuse, as well as former bandmates and employees and touring partners who had spoken out against the singer on social media. Months later, they published accounts of 12 women, including 3 they'd spoken to, 3 that had spoken to the publication Metal Sucks, who accused Torres Davi of anal and vaginal rape, molestation, and forced oral sex 2 or 13 years old when Torres was 28 and 29. In 2009, Davi was arrested during a show in Denver, Colorado, after a Blood on the Dance Floor's then singer Garrett Ecstasy McLaughlin and another witness saw Torres with 2 teenage girls alone in their tour bus. One of the girls later told police Torres had forced her to give him oral sex. He was released from jail just after a few days, after which he posted a video saying his accuser had mental issues and had failed a kit. One woman identified as Kay talked about traveling from Albany, New York to Davi's Florida home in order to get some firsthand experience working with touring merchandise when she was 15 and he was 25. After convincing her mother to let her stay the night, Davi later forced himself on Kay in the middle of the night as she was trying to go to the bathroom. In a quote, she says, "There weren't a lot of words exchanged. He just grabbed me by my hair and threw me to the ground," Kay told HuffPost. "I was shocked and I felt stupid, like it was my fault." Because you got to understand the power dynamic. We talked about this the other day in a patron chat on Discord, where we talked about power dynamics and how to identify power, because there's many different kinds. There's obviously the ones that you can see at first face value, physical strength, a big platform like Blood on the Dance Floor had at the time, and even sometimes camouflaged as weakness can be power. These power dynamics always have like this mental grasp over us, and we have to be really careful, because where there's power, there's always going to be people that are willing to exploit that power. Davi reportedly utilizes grooming tactics in which he continues talking to victims after the initial assault as if nothing has happened, normalizing the abuse in their relationships. He allegedly used such a strategy on Kay, persuading her a few months later to work merch for Blood on the Dance Floor on Warped Tour. 16-year-old Kay convinced herself that the assault was an isolated thing. You know, the brain does that with trauma sometimes. It puts your pain in a box. However, on the first day of tour, Torres walked in on her while she was trying to nap alone on the bus. He exposed himself and says, "You know why I brought you here? You're going to, and you're getting this, or you're getting off this bus. This is disgusting." According to Kay, when she refused, he hit her with his elbow, gashing her lip. She ran from the bus and stayed with friends until her mother came to pick her up. Another woman by the name of Megan Hood met Torres when she was 14. After giving her her first kiss while seeing a movie, Torres took Hood to his car and orally raped her so violently that she bled and her hair was pulled from her head. So as you can see, this dude is a creep. Literally, easily one of the most disgusting human beings that I've ever seen. I could most likely go into this all day, as there's mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence. To just show you some on the Huffington Post article. Here's a conversation with an alleged 17-year-old where he says, "Well, I'm just going to let you read it." And there he is with his fake hair. I wouldn't be surprised if his tattoos were fake. The dude's just a fake guy. I believe I'm going to be covering this more in the coming months. If you want me to focus on anything in particular, or you want to reach out to me, or you have any allegations that you feel like I should focus on, or anything that you feel is important, reach out to me on Facebook. Just reach out to me in the DMs, or email me at repkings@live.com, whichever you're comfortable with. Give me just about a week to get back to you, and I promise I'll get back to you, and we'll see what we can go over. I really do want you guys to go through these articles that I'm going to be putting in the description. I'm also going to be putting some videos that some fellow creators have been making to raise awareness about this. We're going to keep raising awareness to this dude's behind bars, because he's clearly a dangerous predator. We need to raise awareness to keep any more girls from being hurt. At this time, Blood on the Dance Floor it's been kicked out of, it's no longer streaming on Spotify. It was taken out of the Google Play Store. I think at this time he's only getting money from his merchandise. I'm thinking that he changed his YouTube channel's name to Kawaii. Let me look. Kawaii Monster. So again, he's most likely targeting young girls. It looks like they're possibly still on iTunes, but main thing is just be aware of this guy, spread the word on this guy, stay away from this guy. If you need me for anything else, you know how to get a hold of me. as interesting as there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed that. I want to know what you think, so why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up those likes. As always, brothers and sisters, I will see you in the next video. I still can't believe the wigs, but on a plus note, I did start back at the gym yesterday, so I'm pretty excited about that. I've also started paying more attention to my diet, which right now I'd really like to go to the restaurant that's right outside. It's my favorite one. It's so good. Nice, great omelets, and I love French fries. But don't let me ramble. After I worked out and ran yesterday, I did not sleep well at all. I tossed and turned. I guess my heart rate was too high or something. I have no idea what happened, but I'm probably about to go to sleep. But if you guys need me, like I said, hit me up on Facebook, DM me there. If you need me, just give me some time to get back to you. There's a lot of DMs coming in through over there. And if you have any topics that you want me to cover, just tweet it at me. Email repzilla.com. You can go to the Instagram if you want to. Yeah, I think that's it. As always, thanks to my patrons. Oh yeah, the brand of my coffee, a lot of people are asking me, it's dark roast. It's pure roast is what it is. It's got 70% more antioxidants. It sounds like this is a plug. It's not a plug. It's just really good. It's good for sensitive stomachs because it's less acid. I gotta take Greg to the cat doctor and see if he's okay about his weight because he's huge. Greg, come here. Greg, why are you so cute? We wasn't saying that you were fat. We were just saying that you're healthily a strong boy. Get that sorted out, and maybe we can get him on a diet because I want him to be lean and living 20 years and all that good stuff. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's going over and following the Facebook. We're a goal of 10,000. We're almost halfway. I think we just hit 4,000 followers, or we're about to hit 4,000 followers. So will you be the 4,000th one? We'll see. Because I know that you're repping. If you're not repping, you're Greg, and how you do that, I got to subscribe, notifications, turn, be in the comment section for every single video because I'm going to be there. Greg the cat's going to be there, and the rest of the Repzilla community as well. And I expect to see you there too because this channel loves you. I don't know, man. Nothing against wigs, but his wigs are creepy.